The House of Blades, on their heels from a sister burned alive by House Cawdor, regroup without their queen or Death Maiden. Further intelligence must be gathered, and the crew scatters to the depths of Acropolis to search for information. Why were they targeted? And more importantly, who gave the word? All questions that must be answered. As they are always quick to point fingers at House Goliath, they work to set up a Vox relay in their territory. Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage and Episode 7 of Ashes of Acropolis. Today, House Goliath will face off against House Escher in the mission Intelligence Gathering from the House of Shadows book. A quick glance at the campaign table shows House Goliath at 1-0 and House Escher at 0-1. The Forge of House Goliath will outnumber the ladies of House Escher today and will therefore bank their 50 credits. The only fighter they have in recovery will be the Bruiser Drac. They have 7 active fighters and a gang rating of 1,000. Over for the Howling Banshees of House Escher, Cirrus the Matriarch will have to lead their gang into battle. While outnumbered, they do wield 2 plasma guns in the group. Blythe adds a hotshot pack for her last gun, and they depart with 6 active fighters and a gang rating of 1,020. The scenario today is Intelligence Gathering. House Escher will be attacking today. The battlefield will be standard, and all fighters that can participate will participate. For deployment, the battlefield will be divided into 4 quarters. House Goliath will place at least 1 fighter in each quarter. House Escher will then deploy within 2 inches of 1 battlefield edge and within 12 inches of at least 1 friendly fighter. As House Escher is attempting to plant spy devices in enemy territory, their preference would be to keep silent. Each House Escher fighter can spend a double action to plant a spy device if they're within 6 inches of a corner or the center of the battlefield and no enemies have line of sight. To win, House Escher must have at least 1 spy device in each of the 5 locations, 4 corners in the center. The battle ends when only 1 gang remains or all 5 spy devices have been planted. For tactics, House Goliath will get custom 2, selecting Inhuman Resilience and Unstoppable Behemoth. House Escher will get custom 2, selecting Wild Hunt and 3-point Landing. The Underdog bonus grants them 2 random cards, and they get Hit and Run and Lucky Shot. As always, we're looking forward to a good battle today. Wild Hunt has allowed the Escher forces to recruit a Wild Runner and 2 Phalanx Cats in the pre-battle sequence. Turn 1 is coming up next. We hope you enjoy the game. And with House Goliath deployed on the corners, attempting to overlook where the House of Blades could come in, the ladies of House Escher have deployed as 1 force along a board edge, rolling up for turn 1 priority. And it is going to go over to the House of Blades for turn 1. And in the opening turn, the Sister Specialist Jax is going to round the corner here with her first action, and she is going to target Nuke. She does have a plasma gun and decides to open fire. And while she normally hits on a 4, Nuke will get partial cover here. That will require a 5 in order to hit. Rapid fire, and she is going to land a hit. This will be 2 hits at strength 5 against his toughness of 4. So 3s will be needed to wound, and there will be a wound. The weapon carries AP -1. Furnace plates in the front would require a 6-up save. And you guys all know my son's very good at rolling these. He is just fine. Over to House Goliath, Scorch hears those shots and begins moving his way across the board. We flip back to House Escher, and Trist is going to move around the corner with her activation, and then she is going to fire a last gun, and she just has one of the House Goliath fighters in range here. She'll be taking a shot at Lutz. He is in partial cover. She normally hits on 4. That partial cover will make it a 5, and that shot is going to miss. We have Scud in the middle of the board, who is going to use both actions to move, and the Juve Terra is going to plant a spy device here in this corner. Thrash is then going to activate for House Goliath, just looking to reposition. And then we've got the Wild Runner, Sierra, who is just on for this match. Her and the Phalanx Cats will be departing after it's over. She's going to move up as well. House Goliath then activates Buster. He's got that grenade launcher. He moves, scopes things out, and decides to move again. Next up we have Pixie that is going to activate. She is going to use both actions to move around the corner here. And then we flip back to House Goliath, where Lutz, just barely getting missed from that last gun shot, is going to make a move as well. Blythe is going to use both actions to move, recently upgraded with that hot shot pack. And then Steel Toe, the leader of the Goliath forces, is going to reposition as well. House Escher activates Cirrus, and she moves forward just enough to bring Thrash into range. He is in full cover, but short range with her plasma gun gets a +2. It will offset that. So she's going to hit on her base of 3. And plasma gun shot rings out, and that is going to hit twice with rapid fire. Thrash goes down pinned, and this is strength 5 against his toughness of 4, so 3s will be needed to wound. And that will result in 2 wounds, and Thrash does not have any armor, so we go straight to injury rolls here, 4 in total, and he gets an out of action. So House Escher capitalizing on a potential mistake there from House Goliath, rolling up on the lasting injuries. It's a 26. Lucky for Thrash, he's just out cold. Back on the other side of the board, Nuke will get to his feet, and he is going to attempt to jump down just to get out of range of all this plasma and las guns. He needs to pass a 4-up initiative, and he fails, so he falls. He takes a strength 3 hit, and that will not result in a wound. It needed 5s. And that brings us to the end of turn 1, a turn that is normally reserved for movement and getting into position, led to one of the bullies for House Goliath getting taken out by Cirrus and her plasma gun. Forcing early bottle checks is a good strategy in these early games. Hit and run being played in the end phase by House Escher. We've got the Juve Terra that moves. We then have Trist and Cirrus. She is going to back up, all of them getting a simple move in the end phase. And with turn 2 priority rolls coming out, the priority is going to go over to House Goliath, rolling up a 6. Steel Toe is going to round the corner, feeling confident with his tactics cards behind him. He is going to fire a plasma pistol, and he will be targeting Syrah, the Wild Runner. He normally hits on 3, partial cover takes it to a 4, and he is just going to miss. Back over to House Escher, Trist is going to move to the stairs, and then she is going to target Lutz with her las gun. She normally hits on a 4, short range taking it to a 3, and that is going to result in another hit, and an ammo check will be required here, just needing a 2 as it is plentiful. That is good. This is strength 3 against his toughness of 4, so a 5 will be needed to wound, and that will not wound. Over for House Goliath, Scorch is going to use both of his actions to move. House Escher activates Cirrus, who points the plasma gun at the leader, Steel Toe, and he is in short range, so anything but is going to hit here, even with partial cover. She normally hits on a 3, partial cover to a 4. That short range modifier makes it a 2+. She is going to hit, but she will have to take an ammo check here on a 5-up, which fails, so the plasma gun jams up. This is strength 5 against his toughness of 5, so it would require a 4 to wound, and she is going to wound. Steel Toe is going to take a check for Nerves of Steel, and that will be failed, so he is going to go down pinned. AP1 would give him a 6-up save in the front. That is failed. In order to avoid the injury die being rolled out, Unstoppable Behemoth being played, he returns to standing, and there's no injury roll made. She will then use her second action to attempt to reload that weapon, which fails. We then got Scud. He moves up to the door and decides to open it with his second action, looking to lend support to Steel Toe. Next for House Escher, we have Pixie that comes back around the corner again, and she points her las gun at Steel Toe, quickly approaching, and she is going to need a 3 in order to hit, getting that las gun in short range. The shot bursts, and it is going to land a hit. He is going to take a nerve check to avoid being pinned. And Steel Toe is going to remain cool. He remains standing. This is strength 3 against his toughness of 5, so 5s are needed, and it is going to cause a wound. Furnace Plates in the front is going to fail. That required a 5-up save, so he is going to take a wound. Next, we've got Buster, who is going to fire a frag grenade, hoping to get a scatter here, and that is exactly what he is going to get. This shot is going to miss, so we're going to roll out the D6 and the scatter to figure out where it goes, and it looks like that is going towards the House Escher players. It's going to scatter 6 inches. It is going to go past Pixie, but it is going to clip another fighter. And that is going to hit the Juve Terra. She is going to take a Strength 3 hit. First off, we're going to roll for a knockback, and that is not successful. Strength 3 against Toughness 3. This is going to require 4s in order to wound. There's no wound. She is just going to go down pinned. And with that chaos, Jax is going to activate next. She moves around the corner with her plasma gun, also targeting Steel Toe, dialing that plasma gun up to maximum. She is going to take a shot, needing her ballistic skill of 4. And Dice hit the deck here looking for a straight 4. She is going to get a 6. That is going to be a Strength 7 shot. First off, he is going to take a cool check for Nerves of Steel to see if he can avoid pinning. And he will successfully do so, but he has a Strength 7 shot to deal with against his Toughness 5. 3s would be required to wound. And that is going to be a wound. AP -2 is going to cut through his furnace plates, and it's going to cause 3 damage. So we are going to roll out 3 injury die here, and he goes out of action. So the leader of the Goliath gang, taking a little bit of a risk there, couldn't get through all of the fire, had 1 more to make it through. He's going to end up with a 22, which is out cold. House Goliath, rearing back on their heels a little, will activate Lutz, and he is going to fire that stub cannon, needing a 6 to hit Trist. That is no good. We've then got the Wild Runner, who is making a dash for the corner with her 2 cats. On the other side, Nuke is just going to get to his feet and remain stationary. And then we've got some remaining moves for House Escher, as Blythe is going to move up the stairs. And she is then going to lay down a shot with her last gun into Lutz. Has him short range, normally hits on a 4. Partial cover takes that to a 6, short range to a 5. And that shot is going to miss. We've then got the little sister Terra, who is going to get to her feet and just slightly reposition. That brings us to the end of a very crazy turn 2. So we did see Steel Toe go out of action there, went out cold, along with Thrash going out cold. The good news is they are not going to miss any time and will be available for the next game. That was a bit of a risky maneuver for House Goliath that did not pay off here in the end phase. They do roll up a 5. +2 is 7, not enough this time. As we move into turn 3, House Goliath rolls up a 3, and they will take turn 3 priority. With House Goliath getting the first activation, we've got Nuke, who is going to turn around the corner, and he is going to take a point-blank shot with his stub cannon, targeting Blythe, and just needs his straight ballistic skill of 4 to hit. That shot is unfortunately going to miss. Blythe is then going to react by moving further up the stairs and bringing Lutz into a wide open shot, normally hitting on a 4, short range, making it a 3. She does have the hot shot pack on her last gun as well. That shot is going to connect with Lutz, and this is going to be a strength 4 hit against his toughness of 4, so 4s will be needed to wound. And that is going to wound. The hot shot pack also provides AP 1, and that is going to fail. So an injury die is going to be rolled out for Lutz, and he is going out of action as well. House Goliath getting taken down here, and the red being the first die will be a 35, which is grievous. Across the board, Buster loads another frag grenade in, and he is going to fire down, targeting the ground in front of the Wild Runner Syrah here, and he aims first. He is going to strike the target. Is she knocked back? We roll up for a knockback, and that is going to be successful, so this will add 1 bit of damage as she has nowhere to go, gets knocked back into the cat. It wounds on a 4+, and she is not wearing any armor, so we're going to go straight to an injury die here, getting that +1 damage. She's going down with a serious injury. Over for the House of Blades, Trist is going to activate next, and she is going to continue moving up the stairs. And she is going to fire down at Nuke. Has him short range, but he is in full cover. Normally hits on a 4. That full cover goes to a 6, and then short range would be a 5 required to hit. And that shot is going to miss. House Goliath will then activate Scorch. He uses both of his actions to move just on the other side of the door now. And then back to House Escher, Terra, the little sister, will activate. She is going to aim and fire her last pistol, targeting Nuke. And he is in partial cover. She only hits on a 5, aims to a 4, but partial cover offsets that. 5 is required, and she is going to land a hit, and he goes down pinned. It is going to require 5s to wound, however, and that's no good. We've then got Scud that activates. He moves twice. And then back to House Escher, we've got Cirrus, who's going to attempt to reload that plasma gun, needs a 5-up, does not get it the first time, attempts to reload again, needing a 5-up, and that's no good. Jax is going to move forward just to the edge of the building and target Buster all the way across the board with her plasma gun. Upon measuring this out, however, he is just out of her 24-inch range. We roll up that firepower dice, and she's fine. Next up, we have Pixie that is going to activate, and she's going to use both of her actions to move. And that brings turn 3 to a close. We did see another House Goliath fighter, Lutz, go out of action on that one. Syrah for House Escher is down with a serious injury. And as we move to the end phase of turn 3, we will see a bottle check here from House Goliath. And they roll up a 5. They have 3 fighters out, so that will be an 8. That will be enough to bottle them. They'll be taking cool checks moving forward. We are then going to roll recovery for Syrah, and she goes out of action. No lasting injuries table, as she just joined for this battle only. As we start turn 4 priority rolls, House Escher rolls up a 1. House Goliath with a 1 as well. House Escher will take priority here, as House Goliath had it last time. We are rolling up for cool checks. Scud's good on a 4. Buster is good on a 5. And then Scorch on the other side, rolling up for him as well. And he will be good on a 5. We've also got Nuke on the other side here, who is prone. He'll need a check as well, also needing a 5. And he is just fine. And House Escher with the first move here. Trist is going to move forward and attempt to jump down. And she is going to roll that up. It is a 1. She fails. So she is going to use 3-point landing here to negate the fall and any damage associated with it. She is also not pinned. Scorch then activates. He opens up that second level door. He then uses his second action to move out of the way here. That is going to get a reaction from Blythe as she moves forward, and she is going to fire her last gun down at Nuke, normally hitting on a 4, short range making it a 3. The shot is going to miss. Going to use Lucky Shot here, the tactics card, to re-roll this back out, and that is going to hit. That hot shot capacitor is strength 4 against toughness 4. 4 is needed to wound. There is a wound. AP1 will cut through the furnace plates as he is prone and has no facing. He rolls up a save here that fails regardless. So there will be an injury die that will be rolled out for Nuke. And that is going to be a serious injury. House Goliath really taking it on the chin in this one. Buster loads another frag grenade, and he is going to fire down once again, and this shot is going to miss. So we're going to roll up a d6 and a scatter, targeting the ground there just in front of Jax. And that is going to scatter, it appears, off the table. The little sister Terra is going to activate next, and she is going to use both of her actions to move forward. House Goliath now playing Inhuman Resilience, rolling an injury die here to see if he can stand back up. And it's an out of action that is treated as a serious injury. He stays down. On the other side, Cirrus is able to successfully unjam her plasma gun, and then she is going to use her second action to move. With Nuke down seriously injured, he is going to crawl, unable to flip back over with Inhuman Resilience. We've then got Pixie, who activates for House Escher, uses her first action to move, and she is going to be able to get line of sight to Scorch, who opened the door and tried to move out of the way. She sees Scorch right in the back, normally hits on a 4, short range, making this a 3. We are giving partial cover here, so I believe that it is just a 4 to hit. And that shot is going to hit. An ammo check will be required, needing a 2. That is successful, and this is strength 3 against his toughness of 4. 5's needed to wound. There's no wound, but he will need to take an initiative check to avoid falling. That is going to fail. He plummets to the bottom and takes a strength 3 hit. Once again, this requires 5s in order to wound. There will not be a wound. Scud, the Goliath stemmer now leading this crew, uses both of his actions to move. With the final activation going to House Escher, Jax is just going to pull back to the corner, waiting for the stemmer to come around. And she's sitting there with her plasma gun, and that brings us to the end of turn 4. And so far, this has been pretty interesting. House Goliath really struggling to keep up with House Escher in this one. They're getting taken down at range, one by one. House Escher still cannot fail a bottle check. We move into the recovery rolls. It looks like Nuke rolls back over with a flesh wound. With turn 5, priority rolls coming out and going to House Escher, we do have Trist. She moves around the corner. Got a last gun shot lining up on Nuke, who's down on the ground here. Normally hits on a 4, 3's for short range. And that is going to hit. And it's going to require 4s now, as he does have a flesh wound. There's no wound. Once again from across the board, Buster this time decides to load a crack grenade into the grenade launcher. And he targets Pixie. And gonna need to reroll. We got a cocked die out there. We'll need to take an ammo check for sure, but the shot is going to hit. He aimed first and hits her on a 4. While the ammo check does fail, it's strength 6 on the hit against her toughness of 3, so 2s. That is going to do a wound. Cuts right through her flak armor at AP 2, and 2 injury dice coming out, 2 flesh wounds. What a lucky result. Pixie immediately activates, gets to her feet, and uses her second action to get into cover. Lucky to be alive. We then move over to House Goliath, where Scorch is going to get to his feet and move. And this is going to allow Blythe the opportunity to move around the corner here. Not able to get a clear shot to him, so he will get full cover. And she is in short range. So that's going to require a 5 here as she tries to gun him down from the back. And that shot comes out and does miss. Scud is then going to activate next and can't really find a way around at this point. Doesn't want to expose himself. He's just kind of readjusting. We then have Cirrus, who moves forward with her plasma gun. Nuke then gets to his feet, decides to return fire at Trist with his stub cannon, and normally hits on a 4. Partial cover makes this a 5, and that shot is going to miss. The little sister Terra then comes around the corner to get him in line of sight and get a clear shot. She normally hits on 5s, has this last pistol. She gets a +1 to a 4 here for being short range, and she is going to miss that shot. Ammo check required, needing a 2. It fails, and her gun jams up. Remaining activations stay with House Escher, and Jax is just going to pass down here in the corner, kind of guarding that with her plasma gun, and turn 5 comes to a close. I did miss the bottle checks on turn 5. Those were all good. House Goliath is looking to stick around in this one, using their high cool to their advantage. Turn 6 priority rolls coming back out, and House Escher is going to take it on a 4. Cool checks required, needing a 4 up here to stick around. He is good. Buster up top requires a 5, and he is good. We then look at Scorch, and he is good as well. All Goliath fighters staying on the board so far. Nuke on the other side, also needing a 5. He actually rolls a 4, and he is going to flee the battlefield at this point. And we move into turn 6 action as Blythe is going to reposition. She does have that last gun with a hot shot pack, targeting Scorch here, normally on a 4, short range 3, and has him in the open. She rolls that out and strikes him in the back with a 6, strength 4 against his toughness of 4, Force required a wound. There is no wound. And while he goes down pinned, he immediately stands and returns fire with his rivet cannon and strikes her back. This is a rapid fire weapon, just needs 3s. It is strength 4. He does wound her twice. She takes an initiative check to avoid falling. But AP1 will cut right through her armor. Injury dice come out, rerolling 1 here due to being a cocked die, and it is an out of action. So Blythe, with her hot shot pack, takes a risk trying to get Scorch out of the game, ends up being taken out. She rolls up a 56. She will be enfeebled and lose 1 toughness moving forward. We've then got Cirrus, who comes around the corner. She's got the plasma gun, dialing that up to maximum power, and she is going to fire down at Scorch. She just needs a 2 and lands the hit. He is going to take a nerve check here, as he does have nerves of steel. He is going to successfully pass that to avoid being pinned, but he still gets hit with a strength 7 shot. 3's required to wound. It's going to wound. It will cut through his armor, and we are going to go right into injury rolls here, as that is going to cause 3 total wounds. 2 injury dice coming out. He goes down with a serious injury and takes a flesh wound. Buster attempts to reload his grenade launcher, tries twice, needing a 6, can't get it. And then we've got Trist, who is making her way down the right flank. Scud is going to reposition to give Scorch some assistance. Terra successfully rolls up to reload her last pistol and will use her second action to move. Turn 6 comes to a close, and House Goliath, again, not electing to flee the battlefield. They are going to stick around. With the loss of Blythe, House Escher would be in jeopardy of failing a bottle check at this point, and that is exactly what they do. They roll up a 6, and House Escher has bottled. We roll for a recovery roll from Scorch. She is going to stay down with a serious injury. And now everyone on the battlefield is testing. We've got Cirrus, who is going to pass, just needing a 6. Jax down in the corner here needs a 7 in order to stick around, and is not going to get it. Jax is going to flee the battlefield. One of those plasma guns taken off the board. We've then got Pixie, who is barely alive. She is going to stick around to fight. We also have Terra. She is going to need to roll up an 8 to stick around. She's good. Trist rolls up needing a 7, and she is barely going to stick around. House Goliath also taking checks. Scud is going to be good, just needing a 4. And up top, Buster is going to need a 5. That is exactly what he gets. He'll stick around as well. Priority roll's going out for turn 7. House Goliath will take it, and Scud is going to move out of range of that plasma gun. This is not going to stop the Matriarch from activating and firing down at Scorch, however. Has it in low setting, she does fire and hits. The ammo check is good, needing a 5 up. And this is going to be strength 5, so 3s to wound. It does a wound. It cuts through his furnace plates as he does not have a facing while he is down on the ground. Injury dice are coming out, and it looks like he's going out of action. House Goliath will lose Scorch with a 42, which is grievous. Buster up top attempts to unjam that grenade launcher, needing a 6. He fails once, and he fails again. Simply can't get that gun unjammed. Trist is going to use a double action to establish the spy network here in this corner. And then we've got Terra, who's going to use both of her actions to move. The rest of the activations belong to House Escher. We've also got Pixie, who is going to move as well with both of her actions. The turns are coming quickly now as we look at the next turn, and House Escher is going to win the priority. We do have some cool checks that are coming out. Scud, once again, going to be good, needing a 4. Buster is good, just barely, getting a 5. And then we have Cirrus, who rolls up for a 6. She is going to spread that around to the 2 that are within 6 inches of her. And Blythe is going to be good as well. Cirrus is going to use her first action to relocate here and fire across the board, targeting Buster. She just needs a 4 with partial cover, and that shot is going to miss. Buster then attempts to reload, which fails. He is then going to move behind full cover. Back to House Escher, we've got Pixie, who is going to then move through to the next level. And then Scud is going to use both of his actions to move as well, staying out of line of sight of that plasma gun. Remaining moves go to House Escher, and Terra is going to move forward as well. She's going to attempt to jump down, and she passes that initiative check, jumping to the bottom here, and continues her move to the middle, looking to plant that spy device. On the other side, we've got Trist, who's going to use both of her actions to move as she continues to make for the corners. With the turn quickly over, we roll up for priority for the next turn. House Escher is going to take this one. We will need to see some cool checks come across, and that is going to be a pass from Cirrus. Trist is the only other one out of range. She passes as well. We then go to Scud down here, who needs a 4, and Buster that needs a 5. And both of them are going to stick around. With the first activation, House Escher fires that plasma gun, aiming it down to a 2, but full cover takes that back up to a 4, and that plasma shot is going to miss. We've then got Scud, who is going to activate. He uses both of his actions to move to get into cover. While Tara uses a double action here, this should not have been allowed to set this spy device as she is in line of sight. But we continue on with Buster attempting to reload. He fails twice. And now we've got Pixie attempting to take a shot down at the stemmer. Scud normally hits on a 4. She does aim to a 3. Full cover makes it a 5, and that shot is going to miss. Blythe continues to make her way along the bottom of the board, moving and opening up the door, trying to get to the corner on the next turn. Priority rolls hit the deck for another turn, with a tie going to House Goliath. We will see some cool checks with Scud needing a 4 and Buster up top, who needs a 5. House Escher will also take some bottle checks and needing a 6 here. That spreads around to the other 2 fighters within 6 inches. And then a 7 across the board from Blythe is required, and she gets it. With the first activation, Scud is going to launch an assault into Tara, the little sister. These paired pulverizers get a ton of attacks. He comes in swinging with 8 dice, and he is hitting on 2s, so only misses 1 of them. 7 go through. He will also wound on 2s, as his base strength is 5. There's +1 for this weapon, so only 2 are going to miss. That's going to be 5 total attacks that go through. She's not wearing any kind of armor, so we go straight to injury rolls, where 5 injury dice come out. And we don't need to worry about too much here, as these 3 flesh wounds are going to take her out of action regardless, and he will be able to consolidate. She rolls up a 14, which is out cold. He then consolidates into cover. Cirrus then activates with her plasma gun, firing back up at Buster, aiming it down to a 2. Full cover makes this a 4, and that shot is again going to miss. Buster, still attempting to reload that grenade launcher, frantically needs a 6. Fails on the first, and he finally gets it on the second. He is able to reload that grenade launcher. We've then got a shot from Pixie that comes across the board, needs a 6 with full cover, and that shot is going to miss. And then Trist continues to make her way with both moves, trying to get to the opposite corner. As another priority roll comes out, it looks like House Goliath will be up again, and once again taking cool checks. First for Scud, who needs a 4. These House Goliath players aren't going anywhere. They're sticking around, and a 5 for Buster up top. They are good. We then roll up for Cirrus, and she fails. She needed a 6, and she runs off the table. We then roll for Pixie, who needs a 7. She misses, and she is running off the table. And now rolling for Blythe, she's the only House Escher fighter left. Needing a 7, she fails. You just saw 3 back-to-back fails on those nerve checks. They flee the battlefield, and it looks like House Goliath is going to stick around with just 2 fighters remaining. Unwilling to budge and unwilling to be bullied, House Goliath stuck their feet into the ground, stayed tight, and no matter the destruction that was happening around them, they're going to come out with a victory today, as House Escher has fled the battlefield. It is going to be a devastating loss for House Escher, and we've got the post-game report coming up now. And welcome to the post-game in this one. My oh my, what a match we just witnessed between House Goliath and House Escher. This was kind of a classic throwdown, if you will, between these two gangs. House Escher really hit House Goliath in the mouth, hit him early. Took down their fighters methodically, if you will. I thought I was doing a pretty good job with what I was doing. I probably should have went for 2 corners instead of just piling into one, but I wanted to have strength in numbers and really try to pick them off one at a time and get a lot of shots on the same fighter. Unfortunately, I took a little bit of a risk there when I went after Scorch with Blythe. I had the hot shot pack. It was a strength 4, so just trying to take him out, and that would free up kind of the middle of the board, if you will, to where there wouldn't be that blaze weapon kind of floating around in there. That ended up not being the best move, as he turned right around and took me out of the game. That forced a bottle, which was very unlucky. I had to roll a 6 to bottle, and I did roll it, so it is what it is. In this one, I kept asking my son at the end of each turn, I'm like, are you done yet? And he said, no. Are you done yet? No. So he was obviously going to stick around with this one, knowing that he had those really good cool checks. His guys more than likely weren't going anywhere. Playing that kind of game, he got me to bottle, and then it was just a matter of time, as the dice were obviously more in his favor for cool checks, and you saw me fail 3 straight cool checks right there at the end of the game. That's just how it goes sometimes. That was a fun scenario, and House Goliath will improve to 2-0, while House Escher will fall to 0-2. I know they haven't been having the best of luck on this channel, and as you can see, it's not always my fault. House Goliath will take home their 50 credits and XP from this mission. They did have numerous injuries throughout the match. House Escher will take home 25 credits for showing up today, along with their experience and numerous injuries that they had as well. The man of the match, it is very odd that I do give it to the losing faction, but that's what's going to happen today, as Cirrus definitely earned it. She took down 2 fighters, one of them being a leader, and just overall played a heck of a game with the plasma gun. She'll be taking home at least 4 XP from this match, and she just did a better all-around job than I think anyone on the Goliath side. And that is going to wrap up episode 7 from us. Really hope you enjoyed watching this battle report as much as we did making it. Big shout out to the Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now, as well as on a piece of our terrain. If you see an asterisk by your name, that means that I am working towards getting you on a piece of terrain. So really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, any kind of support's totally optional. If you're still watching the video right now, you've done more than enough to support our channel. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.